It's Friday.
It's Friday, bitches!
And it's soggy. Now, they said we were going to get some rain, and we certainly have. But we didn't know how much rain we were going to get. And, I mean, there's the potential of monsoon rains starting tonight going into tomorrow. They've got warnings out there. They're calling for a lot of rain. I don't think that's going to do much for us here. The lake is starting to clear up a little bit, but it is still pretty bad. As you can see, there's 3 boats out here at the mouth of the Detroit River on the Canadian side. We do have some winds coming overnight, though. There are going to be south winds gusting over 50 kilometers, so that would be what, 35 miles an hour, pounding the U.S. shoreline, but that shouldn't last too long. A little breezy on Sunday, Monday, maybe a little bit on Tuesday, but we're getting, that's looking too far ahead here. But I mean, our temperature dropped. We are seasonal now. It does feel good, but the weather's just kind of poopy with the rain and all that stuff, especially for those getting out for the first time. But anyways, that's what it's like here on Friday going into Saturday. We'll see you in a couple days. With weather like this, you have to be aware. We've got this warmer air mass that comes over this cooler lake water, and that's going to produce fog. Fog can be very hazardous while you're on the water. I've had days where it's literally grounded me, and I would have to fish close to home and let that clear up before I got out there. Now, there was a boat just out here. It's totally engulfed in the fog here. And you have to be safe. You have to be, especially if you've got others on your boat around these shipping channels. Well, the weekend remained very nasty, and here we are. So I did not go fishing at all. I'm sure many of you didn't. As you can see, we continue to be beaten by these winds on the Canadian shoreline. However, it's not so coffee stained. It's a little more green, so that's a little more positive here. And as you can see, we're getting a little bit of that American blue moving on over to the Canadian side, so that's good too. I did get out and I made it to Bondi's fishing shop open house, and man, am I glad I ever did, because it was fantastic. It's exactly what we needed right here. It was so good to see so many local anglers, not just from Canada, Windsor, Essex area, but from the States as well. On top of that, I got to play catch up with a really good old friend, Greg. Now, I actually worked with his son Nathan, and he introduced us years ago. And after a few adult drinks, the next morning he had me out there pulling offshore boards. And it's because of Greg where I found my passion in trolling for walleyes now. So I'm not to blame, Greg's to blame, but it was great to see him. And I spent most of my morning catching up with him. He even made plans to go fishing. Greg is a local legend. He's the first Canadian ever to win the professional walleye trail. And I think it was early 90s, 93, 94. And when Greg speaks, I listen. He's got a wealth of information. I didn't expect to see him there, and it was a big surprise. And I'm so happy we got to connect once again. I couldn't imagine what Lake Erie looks like right now with these northeast winds. It sucks, and it's colder than a witch's titty out here. But there's one way to keep warm, and I made sure that I left that show yesterday with my buddy's hot sauce. My buddy Scott makes a mean hot sauce, and my favorite way to have it is on a nice baked or grilled salmon fillet. Brush it on before you put it in there, let it marinate a little bit, bake it in the oven, and it just caramelizes. It comes out nice and crispy on the top, and it tastes so delicious. Those guys who walked away from the show with a couple of bottles of these, man, you guys are in for a treat. Now, Scott sells these locally. You can reach him through Facebook or Facebook Messenger, and he'll be sure to get you some of these to try. Wow, is it good stuff. And after all that, I got to have my buddy sleep over, and we slayed all the Sith Lords across the galaxy. We brought balance back to the Force. We got to have all the cake and all the ice cream that we wanted, and it was a good day. Well, it's Wednesday, March 13th, and as you can see, the Canadian side is still a little poopy. We've got that brown spot still out in Lake St. Clair working its way down the Detroit River along the Canadian side, but the American side is gin clear. From here all the way to Timbuktu, right down to Lake Erie. But the fishing on the lakes, Lake St. Clair around the mouths and the opening of Lake Erie is hot, hot, hot. Now, I've got some buddies who are fishing in the Detroit River, mid-river, down towards Lake Erie, Fighting Island, and even the Trenton. They're getting some fish, but it isn't what you want it to be. But if you really want to get on some fish, get out on the lakes, start doing some trolling, because I can't tell you, it is just incredibly hot. Even the sunshine is hot. These fish we were targeting in the stained water, not too heavy, not too light, just right. Temperature is 42.4 here. So what I've noticed lately is it's been bright colors this spring. Yes, the purples are still there, carried over from the winter, but these were the hot colors for us. And like I said, bright colors. So with that, I'd like to move my report. All in favor, say aye.
Aye, aye.
There's no question that the water on the Detroit River is clearing up, but it's just a really slow process. But if this picture indicates 1,000 fishy words, it's telling you guys to go get an American license.